G'day, legends, and welcome to Spurs Down Under. Oops, sorry, I mean Celtic Down Under. I'm your host, Jared, and that was directed at some bloke in the comments on last night's pod who's basically accusing us of jumping ship, shutting down the channel, and starting up a Spurs Down Under channel instead. Shove it, mate. We're going nowhere. This podcast's been around before Ange was at the club, and long may it continue. How you doing, Shane?
It's been a whirlwind past couple of days. It was all going so well. We had the new Noel Gallagher's High Flying Birds album out on the Friday. We had the result on the weekend. It was all going so well. I thought I was actually going to start the podcast off by reciting some lyrics from "If You Leave Me Now" by Chicago, but I just can't sing, so I'm not going to put the viewers through that.
How are you, Liam? All Oompa Loompa, how orange and burnt you are and everything, mate.
Yeah, I've got a face redder than the average Tory MP's arse, but let's not go there. Got caught a wee bit of the sun at the school sports day at the weekend, and I'm still paying the price for it. But otherwise, I'm good. So we're not doing a Spurs cast then. So will I cancel those Hebrew lessons that I booked?
I've got some comments I could make, but not on air.
No.
Only reason I'm saying that is because one of my closest family friends is a massive Spurs fan who's absolutely loving the fact that Ange is going there, and that group chat has gone dead quiet at the moment. There's no messages being exchanged, nothing. It's just like, nah. Because we're inside the first 5 minutes, I can't say what I was going to say there. But screw Tottenham. You know what screws are exchanged for. You can figure out the other word. But yeah, it's that's how I feel about things at the moment. But anyway, we'll talk about that a bit later on the pod. Usually on the Wednesday Pot Noodle, we discuss the weekend's result quickly, and then later on we preview the upcoming game. Well, we don't have an upcoming game for a few months now, so it's going to be a bit of a different feel over the off-season. A few random topics that we'll get into. I've been putting together a bit of a list of things, so yeah, it'll be a little different, but we'll get stuck in. So we'd normally talk about the game. Celtic 3-1 win over Inverness Kelly Thistle. I don't really think we need to dive into that because that feels like that was on the weekend, and that feels like it was weeks ago now with everything that's happened since then. So, it's a bit of a doozy. So, what we'll do is, Shane, I'll just throw to you if you do want to talk about anything on the podcast, like about the game. Otherwise, let us know just your general feeling on Ange departing the club. We'll get into the depth of it later, but just your thoughts overall.
Oh, it's been mixed emotions overall, to be honest. I'm going to preface a lot of my comments, of course, by saying that obviously the accent gives it away. I'm Australian. I've been an Australian football fan for a long time, and I've admired and revered Ange for a long time. And, I've been pretty lucky that, he's been the manager at several, clubs and obviously national team that I'm attached to. So in one sense, obviously, if I'm looking at it with an Australian football hat on, this particular move, I understand the big deal that's been made out of it. I appreciate the take on it from people down here. I know people maybe overseas are sick of hearing about it being an important move and a big move and so forth. I don't begrudge him for going. And I thank him for all the success that's been delivered during his time in charge. I think it's been a whirlwind time, and, his place in our history is definitely secured. I think for me, it's probably, if I can have an overriding emotion, it's still pretty much disappointment. And it's not so much necessarily the manner of the exit. I think it's more just the trajectory we were on under Ange and where we were heading. I really feel like this season coming, we were going to just continue to grow. And I was really looking forward to what we're going to do in Europe. And it kind of feels like a little bit like the rug's been pulled from under the feet. So it's still a little bit hard to process. Like I said, I don't begrudge him, and I wish him well, and I hope he has every success. But I do genuinely wish he was still in charge and stayed on at least for a couple more seasons. I'd actually thought that he was going to put down roots at one stage and stay for a little while, and I thought it would be here, but wasn't to be.
Yeah, and Liam, what was your thoughts?
Along similar lines, really. Look, Ange, the man, is someone that I have grown to really respect and really admire. And I love the way that he handles the media. I love the way he conducted himself while he was in charge of our club. And I wish him every success in what he does next. No hard feelings on my part. He took a team that was an utter shambles 2 years ago and made us into the best team in the country by a huge margin. And has also left us a decent foundation to have a crack at Europe next season. And, you know, it's never nice to lose a manager. It's especially not nice when it is a sort of a Wim Jansen type scenario where it takes the shine off of what you've just won because the manager's walked. But ultimately, I'd much rather be where we are now than where we were 2 years ago. And that is thanks entirely to Ange. So good luck to you, Ange. I hope you do well. But also to all those arrogant Spurs fans talking down Scottish football, on the other hand, I hope Ange does really well and yet somehow you still get relegated.
So I'll bring up some comments here, Liam. So Eamon has already gone, if this is going to be the level of the show, can Liam remove the swords at least?
The sword stays. I'm sorry. It stays.
And an RL77, bloody Australians. But all up, like for me, you guys have touched on everything that my opinion as well. Like I've followed Celtic my whole life. I've followed Melbourne Victory over here in the A-League. I've had Ange come in and leave and do the same sort of thing, move on. So it's happened before. And then he did it at the Socceroos, qualified for World Cup and moved on. Now it's at Celtic. You look at his profile, he spent 4 years at South Melbourne. Every other club is 2 to 3 years. So half expected it, either this off-season or next off-season. I didn't think he'd leave mid-season because he hasn't really done that unless he's been fired. But I think his football was on a level that we haven't seen at Celtic in a long, long time. So that's one thing. And another thing is I'm glad that he was involved and brought Celtic back down under here because it had been 11 years since I'd seen Celtic play live with my own eyes in the flesh. So that's a memory. Away day, go up to Sydney from Melbourne, watch the game, all this sort of stuff. It was, it's just a great moment to see a team I've supported since I was a kid come to our side of the world, to our country, managed by an Australian. It's just unbelievable that has happened. And look, I'm not happy that Ange has moved on. I understand the reasons why, but at the end of the day, life goes on. If you were working, doing a job, and someone offered you, to triple, quadruple your wages, you'd go. I've just started a new job personally for a better position myself, so I can't judge him. It'd be the pot calling the kettle black. So realistically, it's like I can understand it all. The one thing that I'm not seeing reported a lot is people have been carrying on going, oh, Ange's Judas, he's selfish, all these sort of things have been thrown around. He's tarnished his legacy, all these sort of things, right? Carrying on like you're a high school kid who's just been broken up with by your first ever girlfriend. A lot of people having that sort of, anger and frustration and confusion, and I get all of it. The thing people are saying is, oh, the fact that he walked out on the club and he's taken another job isn't good enough, right? We did the exact same thing to Yokohama when we signed him. He was under contract there. We went and approached him and signed him. He left mid-season for the first time in his career to come and join us. And what happened? He spent 2 years with us. Of the 6 trophies on offer, we won 5 of them. We've built a culture in the club. We've built a pathway. Our squad is that young, but there's so much value. We're currently ranked 42nd in Europe in terms of squad value. We weren't even in the top 100 before Ange got there. We've built this thing up massively in a 2-year thing. So if we're getting paid, as Mickey's saying in the comments here, 5 million compo for a 1-year rolling contract. I've heard other things, but realistically, like, we're getting compo there. And then if the other guys want to go, which we'll talk about later on in the pod, there could be more coming. So yeah, we'll get stuck into that a little later on in the pod. But before we do that, I want to go through the current squad and play a little game. Try and get the let's get a bit of talk going in the comments. What I'd like from you guys, let us know who you would like to be if you were in our CEO, Michael Nicholson's chair, and you had the choice of who you would want to come in and replace Ange. Who would it be and why? Let us know that in the comments. Also, let us know, we're about to play a game of keep, loan, sell. We did this time last year for the current squad. So with Vasilis Barkas being released from his contract, I thought it's a good time to play that game. So we want to go through. I've got the squad on the other screen here, and we'll go through it and we'll talk about if we were in the vacant manager's chair and we were appointed, who would you do? Like, who would you release? Who would you loan? Who would you sell? Okay, so we'll just do that to try and mix things up a little bit before we get back into some more Ange talk. Otherwise, we could, sound like a bit mopey and stuff and all heartbroken because our Australian icon has left the club. But we will survive. So, Shane, I'm going to go with you first. Goalkeepers. Joe Hart. The rumours are that he may be away to Shrewsbury, Shrewsbury or whatever it is, his local club where he started off his career to finish it off. So what's your thoughts on that? What would you do with Joe Hart?
No, I'd 100% keep Joe Hart. I at least for another season. I still think he's a very important cog in Celtic, not just for his performances on the pitch, but also the leadership that he brings on the pitch as well. I think particularly now that we're in a phase of transition and we're bringing in a new manager, we need to make sure we've still got our strong leaders on the pitch, and he's one of them. So I'd 100% keep Joe Hart.
And Liam?
Agreed, 100%.
Amen in the comments is Hart, he'd keep him. For me, I look at it this way. What's happened we'll talk about the other guys, but with the 4 keepers we currently have on the books, Joe Hart is the one we need to keep for one more season. Okay, so we'll get into the other 3 and we'll group them together. You've got Scott Bain, who's just signed a new 3-year deal. Who the hell did that? I don't know. You got Benjamin Siegrist and Connor Hazard. Now, Hazard's out of contract, so for me, I'd be letting him go. Siegrist, what's happened there? If we can get a better player to challenge Hart for the starting jersey, then Siegrist can go too, and Bain can be our 3rd stringer, and we can let Oluwayemi go and have another season on loan. What's your thoughts, Shane, on the other 3?
Oh, I pretty much agree with what you just surmised there, to be honest. Pretty much exactly how I feel. If Siegrist had shown more or had been more involved, I'd be inclined to give him or keep him. But, we need to look to someone to challenge Joe Hart going forward. So as much as I said keep Joe Hart, we definitely need someone, a good level 2nd string keeper who is going to push for him for his position next season. Now, if If it's not Siegrist, and based off of this season, I don't think it is, then I think we need to sell him and bring somebody else in. So pretty much agree with what you said, Jared.
I'm going to jump in here because Andrew Galea has just read my mind. One of the young Aussie keepers. For me, Siegrist has an Aussie girlfriend. He hasn't been around. Let's send him to Adelaide. Let's take Joe Gauchi the other way, and we're all set. I think that sounds fair. But Liam, is there anyone in Japan you think we should sign for that position? And what's your thoughts on the other three players?
Unfortunately, no. The one area that Japanese football is still pretty weak is goalkeepers. Anybody who remembers Eiji Kawashima's short stint at Dundee United will know what I'm talking about. Japan has a lot of great footballers, but not many great goalkeepers, unfortunately. No, but I think Siegrist, for me, looked excellent when he was at Dundee United. But he just seems a wee bit too comfortable being the number 2. He doesn't seem to have the same drive or the same ambition to challenge for the jersey. And I wonder if in the later stages Ange saw that in training, which is why he gave Bain a bigger contract and didn't give Siegrist one. It might be the case that Siegrist gets moved on and Bain is the backup. But then, for the sake of the European quotas and all this nonsense, we might want to either graduate a Scottish keeper from our academy or bring in a Scottish keeper as backup to add another one on the tally. Because as we're going to get on to later, I think a couple of our Scottish players are going to be out the door shortly.
So if that's the case, would you extend Connor Hazard because he counts as homegrown?
Nah, don't think he's good enough.
Okay, good. That's what my thoughts. We'll bring up some comments here. So Andrew Galea was keep Hart. Eamon was selling him on to Wrexham next year. Mickey Moynihan, keep Hart one more season. Let's scroll through the rest here. Grab a young keeper from the Premier League as cover and stand-in. Mahesh is Joe Hart, great leader, but his shot-stopping form about 4th in the SPFL. Not good enough for Europe. That's my concern as well. And then he's followed up with the guy from Aberdeen, great shot-stopping stats. My question about the Aberdeen keeper was he good enough with the ball at his feet to play for Ange? But now Ange is out the door. Are we going to need just like a sweeper keeper sort of thing at the back going forward? Depends who we appoint. So say if it was, I don't know, say if Neil Lennon came back and I'm just doing that to like see the comments just lose their marbles. But if he came back, no, you wouldn't need that. Now, Eamon's come through here where Callagher, Ramsdale, Sanchez, Meslier and Henderson, those are the sort of young guys from the Premier League he's talking about. So there's plenty of options out there, but goalkeeper, I think, Siegrist, Connor, Hazard are out the door, so we definitely need to bring in a keeper. Now we'll get on to our defenders. Alistair Johnson. I think that's pretty easy, isn't it, Shane?
Oh, absolutely. Keep. 5-year deal, get it done.
Yeah, keep and make sure there's plenty of bottles of wine in stock for after the match. Yeah.
And that's keep for me. So Greg Taylor, it's keep for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Keep.
Carl Starfelt, half of the royal couple of Celtic. He's a keep for me.
Yep.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah. He's come on so much this season. Was a bit of a whipping boy last season, but he's really, really grown into the team this year and he's looked excellent.
The versatility from him, for me, Liam, where he can play left or right centre back and not really look out of place doing either, sums it up perfect.
Yeah.
We've got another comment here, Liam, about your swords from Kaiser, saying Liam has a sword on display, he means business. So, next one is Yuki Kobayashi.
I'd keep. I'll bite. I'll keep. I haven't seen enough of him to say that I'd pass him on just yet. I'd definitely keep and see how he goes next season.
I would loan. He needs to physically toughen up, and maybe a season in something like the English Championship might be what he needs.
You read my mind, Liam. I was going to say I'll give him till late in pre-season and see what else we bring in, and to give Carter Vickers a chance to come back from his surgery, and then be like, okay, is he going to break through and be that third centre back for us? Or, as you said, Championship, I was going to say loan him down to Millwall. If he doesn't toughen up there, he never will.
Yeah, I mean, that is the sort... I mean, I don't like Millwall, but that is the sort of club we're talking about. A Millwall or a Sunderland or a...
Blackburn Rovers or something like that.
Aye. A sort of mediocre Championship team where he's going to be tested every week physically and mentally.
Basically, send him to a team that's basically full of fridge chuckers and see what happens. So, Carter Vickers is a keep for me.
Yeah.
Yep. Probably the hardest one on the list here is Burnaby. What do you think, Shane?
It's a tough one, and it's going to be interesting when whoever comes in, how they value him. I'm probably... Well, it's either keep or sell, isn't it? You're not loaning him.
Really? I'd consider loaning him. I'd either loan him to, say, like your Aberdeen or your another Scottish top flight team to get him regular game time in the league and get used to it. Either that, or if the new manager is to come in, for me, I'd look at him. If I was coming in, I'd be like, he's not a left back, he's a left winger. So I'd be pushing him further up the field and signing another left back. So they're my two options. I really wouldn't sell him.
I'd be reluctant to sell him considering what we paid for him and, what we've seen so far. I don't think he's in that boat where we'd get rid of him out of the door straight away. So I'd probably keep and see how he goes under potentially a different system or at least a tweaked system.
We bought him high. We don't want to sell him low.
Exactly.
So we've got some comments here. So we've got Burnaby keep, probably a different system. Kaiser's saying he'd play him as a winger. Liam, what would you do?
Yeah, I think it's really going to, like Shane said, it's going to come down to what approach the new manager takes. If it's going to be a straightforward back four, Burnaby's not a back four player for me. He's either a wing back or he's a left-sided midfielder. So really, I'd go with what you were saying, Jared. I'd loan him to like a Hibs or an Aberdeen and give him a season of getting to grips with the Scottish game, playing every week, and hopefully doing a bit of damage to the Huns, which will put his stock up with the Celtic support when he comes back.
You know how I said sign another left back? I just tweeted I don't need to. We've got Monty coming back, who I'd plug into that spot. As your backup left back behind Greg Taylor, the options are we either sign a European quality starting left back or we bring in Monty and just back Taylor in to do a job in Europe.
Yeah.
Yep.
All right. Next one, Ralston. It's definitely a keep for me. Give him one more year to see, if it was just a down year this year because of injuries and stuff. But yeah, I think he's a keeper for me.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, at worst, he's a great depth player. At best, he makes the starting 11. So yeah, definitely keep for me.
He's done enough in the last couple of years overall to earn a wee bit of a grace period for his dip in form recently. So yeah, keep.
And last but not least, Stephen Welsh. This is a bit of a doozy. So with Welsh, I look at it and go, I'd like to keep him around because he helps for the quota, the Scottish quota, homegrown player, this sort of thing. But I think he's at that age in his career that he needs to start consistently. he's not going to knock Carter Vickers or Starfeld out from the starting lineup. So realistically, he's battling against Kobayashi and potentially another signing that if we sign another centre back, which we need, for that third string guy. So I don't think Welsh is either we need to loan him somewhere in Scotland so he plays week in, week out to get extend his contract, do all that, and off we go, and get him out on loan for a season, or sell him. I don't think he's going to be at Celtic next season. What's your thought, Shane?
I'd probably lean towards sell. And I think he's going to want to move on somewhere to get some consistent first-team football. He's sort of in a similar vein to Mikey Johnston, really. I think, you loan him out. Does he come back into the system? Well, maybe not. And with me wanting to keep Kobayashi in place, there's really not any room for him. So I would say this is the time where we just sell and he finds a new club and gets first-team football.
Jay Walker in the comments, shove it, mate. You're getting booted. And so we move on to midfielders. Aaron Moy. Shane, the floor's yours.
Keep. He's the new wizard. No, actually, I can't say that. Tom Rogic will kill me. No, I'd definitely keep him. He's a great depth player in any kind of midfield role, really. I don't see any reason to sell him. I guess and this sort of comes back, and a lot of this is all very hypothetical about whoever comes in, the way they want to play. The attributes that he struggles with, obviously, is his pace and lack thereof, and potentially playing, as a single pivot. So if someone's going to want to do that, he's in trouble. But I would definitely keep him around. I think if we deploy a similar system, he's shown himself to be more than adequate in playing in that. So keep.
Liam?
Yeah, pretty much a keep for me. Might not necessarily be a starter every week, but a great player to have in the squad, and extremely dependable and consistent when he plays. So yeah, absolutely a keep.
Martin Weir in the comments, I don't understand your comment here. Ralston go, Welsh go. Where's your standards? That's not what was said. So if you can confirm what you were talking about, we'll respond. David Turnbull. He's got 12 months left on his contract. For me, yeah, I think he'll be away.
Yeah, I think now's the time. I think he's gone.
Yeah, as I mentioned before, I think a few of our Scottish players are moving on, and two of them that I think should be moved on are Welsh and Turnbull. For the sake of his own career, David Turnbull's good enough to be a regular in the Scotland national team, and he's not going to get that while he's a Celtic reserve player.
Yep.
He could go to any other team in Scotland and quite a few teams in England and be an instant starter, and that's what he needs to do if he wants to be a member of the Scotland squad going forward, because that's the level he deserves to be playing at.
Absolutely, Liam.
Yep. He's too good to be sitting on the bench not playing.
Yep.
But the players in front of him suited the system better that Ange was playing. Remember when we signed him, he was the first went to sign him, and then they found that knee issue. He was down getting a medical done at Norwich. So he was going down there at the same time as Kenny McLean, and there was someone else going down there. There was 3 Scottish guys going down to Norwich, and he was one of them. So, yeah, okay. Martin Weir, we got your guys. Will be a bit of a clear out of Deadwood trying to raise the base standard. Yeah, okay, I agree with you on that, mate. Now I've understood what you meant, so thanks for clarifying. James McCarthy, out the door, and he's off the wage bill. I think we all agree on that.
Yep.
Yep.
Tomoki
Owada, got to keep and try and figure out a way to play him more regularly.
Yeah, absolutely keep. Absolutely keep. What he's shown during the season, particularly in midfield, he's quite good, and he looks pretty flexible. So, in terms of him fitting into maybe a different system, I'd be very keen to keep him around. Sorry.
You don't want to hang him, Shane. Jeez.
Yeah, I know. Jeez. I think I was going to say hang around and then just got my words muddled up. That's not one for the promo this week, guys.
Yeah. Swords, hangings. We're going all in this week, aren't we, lads? Yeah. Joa is a definite keep. And I'll be interested to see how the new manager uses him, because he looks extremely versatile. So Ange obviously had an idea of what he wanted to do with him, but a new guy's going to have different ideas. So it's going to be interesting.
Next one on the list is Matt O'Reilly. Now, there's been talk of, he's away. Potentially got a few people wanting him. So we should get an offer in the next couple of weeks, was what some of the people, the in the know agents, were saying. So, for me, I thought his season was really disjointed by Kelmack's injury. Like, he started the season really well in the 10, and then once he dropped back to play in the 6 as defensive midfield role, he played well there, but then he never got it going again once he got pushed further forward again later in the season, once Kelmack was back from injury. So I'm not saying to sell the guy. He's a great player, but I think if he does get sold, it won't be our choice. It'll be a big offer comes in, and you know what our board's like. They'll bite the hand for it. So if we could get, I'm plucking a random number here, if we could get 20 plus for him, I'd be wrapped with that. But that'd be some really good business. But what do you think, Shane?
Look, I agree with you. If an offer comes in of that magnitude, we'd definitely have to consider it and more than likely take it. But in terms of, just general keep or sell, I'd absolutely keep him. I think particularly in the last month and a bit, I think he's actually started to find his groove again, higher up the park. I definitely would like to see him play more as a 10, maybe as just a 10 instead of as 2 8s. I love the creativity he has. He's a great physical size. I would absolutely keep him around. He's one of the first people I'd lock in and say, let's keep him for as long as we can.
You could build around him if he wants to stay long term. But The key thing is if he wants to stay in an offer. We've got a few comments. Pete McGee, O'Reilly, absolutely keep. Kaiser, Matt's defo keep, but if he's in demand, sell 30 plus. And then Amity, price to sell if right fee comes in.
Yeah, that's pretty much where I am. I would keep O'Reilly in an ideal world, but in reality, if we got offered 20 plus million for him, he's off. That's the nature of the game. Almost any player in our squad would go if we got offered 20 million plus for them. That's just the unfortunate reality.
We got Scott saying O'Reilly's a keep. Mahesh has got a comment here for you, Shane, because of your slip up before. Nothing like a good hanging to send a message to the rest of the team. I was not expecting that from you, Mahesh.
Oh dear. It's all gone a bit blazing saddles here, isn't it?
Yeah, you got any baked beans there?
Oh dear.
This one here. Matt O'Reilly sell while he's fit. Uncle Nobby's Steamboat. Howdy, mate. Good to have you on.
Up the steamboat.
Next one. This one, I have a feeling if the offer's right, we could potentially see our former manager come back for, is Rio Hurtado.
Yeah.
What's your thoughts on that, Liam?
I really don't want Hatate to go. That's why if it was a choice between selling him or O'Reilly, I'd rather sell O'Reilly. But yeah, that's the one player that I could see Ange coming in for. Because I know he would absolutely tear it up in the Premier League as well. He is that good. He's mates with Mitoma, who's doing really well down there just now. Yeah, but, I would like to think, and I'm not just saying this out of some misplaced notion of honour or whatever, but I think Ange is the sort of guy who wouldn't try and short changes for Hatate. He would make sure we got 25, 30 million if he did go.
I'm waiting for the comments to blow up when you just spoke about that.
No, but that's, I'd like to think that's what would happen, because if I cast your mind back to when we signed Iwata. Ange originally said he wanted to sign him the year before, but he didn't want to take Yokohama's two best players in one go. So I would hope that he would apply that same logic to us now.
Yep. So we got some comments here. Pete McGee's, not just the Tade Liam, AJ is tailor-made for the EPL too. Michael
Yeah,
Ross, why is Tade always linked to Brighton? Because one of his best mates is there. We got a comment here. Liam's still in the cult.
Yeah, somebody did shout cult at me the other day. At least I think that was what they shouted, but anyway.
RL77, take all the lads to a big party in Dubai. I want to go nowhere.
Right.
Yeah, so then Mahesh's comment is, given all the focus on Ange in the UK, Celtic squad in the spotlight down south for recruitment. Yep. So we'll round out the midfield with Callum McGregor. I don't see him going anywhere, but he's at the point where at his age and profile and everything, he's got a. The thing is, do we put a long contract in front of him, sign him for the rest of your career? I don't. If he was going to move, it would be now, but he's got to stay. He's definitely keep.
Yeah.
Yep. No,
as we said before, continuity is crucial. Carter Vickers, Joe Hart, Callum McGregor. That's the big three for me that we absolutely must keep to keep the spine of the team intact. And
then Jamesy Forrest is the other one. For me, I'd still keep him. It's good to have around the squad and everything, and one club player, testimonial match coming up. Yeah, he'll still be around.
Yep. Just on Calmac, just to jump in real quick to I echo Liam's comments. He is Celtic to the core. Like, I don't see him going anywhere, and I know that's potentially going to blow up in my face, but I really don't. I think that he's rusted on Celtic, and he'll be here for the remainder of his career. The way that he has transitioned from where he was to being the captain of this team, he was already a special player, but to become the captain and the leader that he is has been remarkable, and we absolutely need players like that, as Liam said, going forward as part of this transition into a new time. But he's not going anywhere. He will see out his career at Celtic.
If he was going to go, he would have gone when Brendan Rodgers went, because Rodgers made it clear he wanted to take him. So if Callum McGregor was interested in leaving Celtic and going to England, that is when he would have done it.
Yep.
Yeah. Rumours back then was that he went down to Leicester, had a look, and came back.
Yeah.
And then we get into our forward line. So I'm going to start off with Haksabanovic. He's a keep for me.
Yep, keep and see if we can play him as a 10.
Yep, that's exactly what I was thinking.
Yeah. Same issue as Iwata. We know the guy's got the ability. It's just how do we best use it? Absolutely.
Next one I'm going to go with is O. He'll be staying.
Yeah.
Yep. Need to keep him. He's shown plenty of glimpses.
Please don't punt him until we get back from Korea.
And then we've got Maeda. So he's a keep for me.
Yep, absolutely. You need players that are workhorses like that. You've got to keep him.
Then the next three, if any of our forwards go anywhere, it will be Kyogo, it will be Abada, and Jota. So for me, I'd love to keep all three. Some of the comments and after the cup final, seeing the way Jota was, walking around and everything, soaking it all in, it kind of had the look of someone who had some stuff running through his mind. So will he be wanting a move? Who knows? Kyogo, I'd love him to stay. Is that striker that we've needed in a long, he's just sums up the way we work, and he's connected with the fan base. So for me, he'd be a keep as well, unless a big offer comes in for him to go to Spurs, which could happen. And yeah, then you got a barter. There's been rumblings for ages, much in the same way we had it with Giakoumakis and Juranovic about them wanting their moves for a good 6 months before it happened. So a barter could be that way too. But if we could keep them, I'll keep all three. Shane?
Yep, absolutely keep all three. I think Kyogo's, for me, maybe a couple of months ago, I would have said a barter out of the three was more than likely to go. I think that changes now. I think he might want to reconsider and see under new leadership whether he can force his way in as a starting 11 player. So I don't know if that desire to leave Celtic would still be there. I definitely keep all three. I think Kyogo is probably the one I'm most worried about Ange coming in for. And it's purely because of the relationship between the two. You can see there's a special bond between both of them. Regardless of whether you think Kyogo would make it at EPL level or not, even if he's just a second-string striker at Spurs, I could definitely see him going if the offer was right. So, yeah, I definitely want to keep all three, though.
Just to take up that point, I would say that I wouldn't see Kyogo going to Spurs unless they sold Son Heung-min, because I think they're too similar. It's been rumoured that Harry Kane's for the off, and if Harry Kane goes, Kyogo is not a Harry Kane replacement, right?
Would Harry Kane suit the Ange system there?
He's a Son replacement, in my opinion. So that's the one that would worry me. If Son Heung-min gets sold the next couple of weeks, then I think Kyogo would be straight in there to replace him.
You know who we'll see in there? We'll see Cho. He'll end up at Spurs. Because he's at that size and he's a similar sort of movement and that sort of player. I think he'll end up there. Now, Michael Ross,
very possible.
Michael Ross, no discussion on our next manager, or we all sick of it? That's coming later in the podcast. So hold on to your seat. It's going to be interesting.
Mate, all in good time.
This is a 3-hour one, boys. Strap in.
Christ, no.
I'm only joking.
My wife's got the dinner on. Please, no.
If that's going to happen, geez, I'm going to need a toilet break, drinks break, all the good stuff. Hot noodle break, exactly. You know how it is. Anyway, we'll go through the last little bit here. So the players loaned out. Do we really want to rattle? I always rattle through names and we'll just be like, just say what you do, okay? Barkas is already away. We're going to wrap this up speed round, okay? Oluwayemi, keep, but loan. Sorry, loan him. Shane?
Yep, same.
Yeah, one more year.
Scales?
Keep.
Sell.
I'm end of the preseason, figure out where we are. Is there a spot for him? Keep him, otherwise sell him. You're a Geardy. Sell.
Sell.
You and O2, I'd keep if possible. But if my memory's right, I think he's already moved on potentially.
I think so too. But yeah, keep if possible.
Monty is a keep for me.
Yes, absolutely.
Yeah.
Ismail Sorrow. I forgot he was our player. Sell.
Sell.
Liam Shaw. Sell. Itaguchi. Sell.
Wait and see how he does in this one season at the J League when he gets back from his injury.
Mikey Johnson. It's either make or break for him with us. Like, he's at that point where... yeah.
I'll step in. I'll go keep. I'll bite. I'll go keep.
Keep, yeah.
Sell.
Johnny Kenny. Loan.
With an option to buy. I don't think he's ever going to make it at Celtic.
Albion Yeti. Sell.
Yeah, I'll chip in for the airfare if he's willing to go.
Okay, so what we'll do is I've got a couple of weird questions for you before we get into the final wrap on the management situation, because I think it's been done to death on most pods. So it's like, let's just talk about our players for a bit and then finish it off with there. So we're going to have another little one here. So let's have a think of next season. So imagine we only can improve one area of the team. Okay, that's the first bit, with one player. That's for leading into Europe. So keep all our current players, no selling, right? To go into Europe next year in the Champions League, we got to improve one area of the team with one player. Which area are you prioritising? I know that there's more areas that we would need to for the Champions League, but what would be your ultimate priority? Liam's deep in thought. Shane is too, so I'll start off. For me, I think we need a quality number. We either need a quality number 10 or we need a quality left back. They're the two positions for me. Now, I think Greg Taylor is good enough to be serviceable. So, yeah, it's one of those two. What do you think, Shane? What's your priority?
I was tossing up between two as well. I think we need.
Before you come on the show, mate, for God's sake.
I just got that.
Sorry.
That took a while to register. We don't call it the pot noodle for nothing, right? I was deciding between two different positions. Oh, that just sounds as bad. Anyway, what am I talking about? I couldn't decide between a quality European level clinical striker or a quality number 6, essentially a central defensive midfielder. I can't really decide between the two. If I'm probably leaning towards more one than the other, I think in Europe you need to be solid at the back, and I think as part of that, having a pivot or a double pivot, I think you need quality players there, quality defensive players there, and I'd be looking probably more there.
I'll bring up some comments if you want more thinking time, Liam.
No, it's all right. I can jump in. Now, this is not a slight on the player, because as I said before, he's been immense this season. Starfelt is, in my opinion, not as good as Carter Vickers. So I would like, ideally, another Carter Vickers level centre back.
I see that dynamic there as the Jason Denier to Virgil sort of setup. Both good players in their own right. And when you take Virgil out, Denier actually looked decent. So it's kind of like when Carter Vickers is alongside Starfelt, Carter Vickers looks like he's lacking. But when you take him out and just let him have that free reign and play in his natural position on the right, he looks better. So I understand what you're saying, Liam, but I also look at it that way.
Yeah, sure. Yeah.
So Red Scotland has said, if we sign only one top player, then let it be a European striker. Lord Flashheart, I would say goalkeeper. John Cregan, goalkeeper. Eamon, goals. What do we got through here? Kaiser, striker, real pedigree. Peter Stevenson, we need another centre half. Red Scotland followed up his first earlier one. Close second to a top European striker, will be a series box-to-box midfielder in the mould of John McGinn. I think that's what you were saying before, Shane.
Yeah.
Andrew Galea, anticipating losses, will need another striker and centre half. Mahesh, a left back as good as AJ on the right. Then JJI is saying, if we lose a Barter, we'll need a quality right winger, Levi Garcia type. RL77, a great wall level keeper who can spray passes like a number 10. If you find him, let us, and he's affordable and fits in our wage structure, mate, let us know, because that's exactly what we need. We'll get it through. We'll get it to the club. Pete McGee for you, Shane. We already have Kelmack and Awada in midfield.
Yeah, and that's why I was sort of a bit indecisive about it, because I think maybe I would like to see Calmac play a little bit further forward, or, if he's going to play back a bit in a double pivot. And that's where Iwata's the big one for me. Maybe he can fit that mold, hence my sort of indecision.
So we've got some ones here. Paddy Lavery's saying, better ball, boys. Mickey Moynihan is Messi still available? Can only dream, mate. Can only dream. I said at number 10, if he came in, that meme of like the dad from what's it called? From South Park, where he's sitting there and there's just stuff everywhere.
All over the computer.
All over the computer. Yeah. Yeah, that's all I have to say if we brought him in.
Oh God.
It's a nice
the
visual
stupid
for
thing, though,
everyone.
see if we did, ridiculously, right? See if we did sign Messi, and we paid him like £1 million a week, right? The merchandise would probably cover that.
They'd pay for it easy, yeah.
Yeah.
Because we're a bunch of loons who Adidas love to take the piss out of with all these special drops. You'd have a Messi edition, this, and all sorts of stuff, and I'd just be crazy. It'd go off. Anyway, so good to see where everyone's mind's at on that front, in that topic there, all things considered with what's happened. Next one, I want to ask everyone in the comments as well. Maybe I should keep this till next week and we'll just finish off with 2 topics. So, yeah, I'll keep the next topic till next week. What I want to do is I want to send a shout out to everyone watching on the YouTube channel or listening to the audio one. We've had some great growth on the podcast this year. We appreciate all of you. Now, on the podcast channel a while ago, before we went on YouTube, we used to have a series I called the Tim Talks, where I get on and talk to different Celtic fans. And there was just a bunch of questions. How'd you become a fan? Blah, 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 a bunch of them. You can find them in the back catalogue. Check them out. If you want to get involved over the off season and jump on for half hour, 40 minutes with me, whatever, have a chat and record a few. I want to record a few of them and release them over the off season. So we want to get in touch with you guys on the pod, the guys who watch it, listen, enjoy the show. So get in touch. You can find us on Twitter at Celtic Down. You can send us a message on there. You can send an email to admin@celticdownunder.com. Send an email through there. And you can find us on all the other social media channels at the top of the screen here. And we'll arrange to have a chat. So now we'll get on to the final countdown, the Ange chat. So there's been a whole bunch of comments come through over the course of the podcast, which I've been. Here we go. Got some comments here for names. So with Ange going to Spurs, will any of our staff or players join him? Now, we've touched on going through the squad, who we think. So all I want to do quickly is go, Shane, do you think that the rumours of Gavin Strachan, John Kennedy, one of the analysis, potentially Harry Kewell, are all going to be joining Ange at Spurs? Or do you think there'll be a limit on who can go with Ange's release when he moves on, when he's moved on? And then Liam, will go to you off the back of that. Which players do you think Ange will target for his Spurs team? So over to you, Shane.
I think the rumours definitely have legs. I think there's definitely a possibility. I don't see all of them going, so I think there would be a limit. If I had to guess, I'd probably say only one of them would go, and that would be probably Kennedy. And I think there'd be only one thing that would maybe stop him from going at this stage. But yeah, probably more than likely Kennedy. I don't think Kewell goes. I think Kewell stays. I think Strachan stays. But Kennedy is the one I think might go. And the analyst, as you were saying. I think that's definitely possible as well. But I don't think Ange will raid all of the backroom staff. I don't see that happening. He obviously came to Celtic with no staff, built up here and worked with our current staff. I don't know if there's any backroom staff, obviously, at Spurs at the moment or what that situation is. So he'll need to build from the ground up. But I don't see him taking everybody.
Yeah, Kennedy, I think, is the one because he's been through so many different Celtic managers here already that I think you might think, oh God, haven't you adjusted to another change of structure and management? It's like, no, I'll go in with Ange because I know what I'm getting with him. I could see that being Kennedy's viewpoint. Plus, if you are an assistant in the EPL, it makes it a lot easier to become your own man further down the road, which I'm sure Kennedy has the eventual ambition to do.
Yep. So we got some comments here. So Kennedy and Strachan will definitely go. Mahesh has commented saying, hasn't Kennedy said he wants to join Spurs? Yeah, I read that as well. And then Andrew Galea, has the club said anything regarding Kuhl? Haven't heard it from the club, but there's rumblings over here in the media that I've seen. It's going to be interesting.
I mean, if Strachan goes, who gets the laptop? Surely we keep the laptop, right?
Depends
so
what's
if
on
he
it.
changes the password, we don't.
Very good point.
The thing for me with John Kennedy, it's real simple. As you guys said, he's been under many managers. He hasn't had the chance to step up. Celtic's not really the club that you would make someone step up from behind the scenes into the first team manager role. Last one who did that was Neil Lennon, and there was an obvious reason. Cough, cough, Tony Mowbray, cough, cough, or whatever it was. So there's obviously reasons there. So if Kennedy wants to be a Celtic manager, he's kind of needs to go do what Bruni's doing and go elsewhere and get his gig and work his way up. So, yeah, I think he'll be off.
It's the only way I can see him staying, to be honest, is if he is in the running or can get the gig to be Celtic manager. I think if that's ruled out, then he's off.
Yep.
Yeah, I would agree.
Mahesh has got a comment here. Ange probably wants a few allies at Spurs, given the bigger egos involved. I'd have to agree. So, with that happening, I think probably Hatate would be the only one of our players that I think Ange, if he came in for him, would be ready to go. So, the rest I don't see going in as potential first team players, but I hope none of our players go down there. Next one is, who is next? That's the pod name. Who's next? If you're a wrestling fan, Goldberg. Who's next? That's the next challenge. So for me, I've got about 15 comments here from you guys tuning in on who you think it should be. So we'll start off here. Knutson. Muscat. Brendan Rodgers. Whole list of them here. Potter, Rodgers, Knutson for me. Noda, Marsh, Maraska, Roy Keane, David Moyes. That one there. Potter, Rodgers, Knutson. I'd agree. Rodgers, no. Potter, Knutson. David Moyes is a no. Roy Keane's a no. Marsh, I don't know about him, to be honest with you. But I think Muscat, he's been there, done that with Ange as well. So there's he's taken over him twice before, so that could be an interesting one. I know Shane would love to jump in on there, but I'll quickly rattle through some more of these comments. You think Muscat may be looked at? That's the throw to you, Shane. Peter Stevenson, Knutson for me. Red Scotland, I hope you're having a laugh here, mate, about Steve Clark. Michael Ross is Knutson. Got it here, Knutson. And then down here, Knutson. The way he played us off, for me, the way he played us off the park with Bodo Glimt, plays the right sort of football for the squad we have. So, Shane, who do you reckon?
Well, for me, Knutson's the top tier, the one that I'd look at and say if we can get him and go after him, we should. Outside of that, the two people that instantly came to mind are probably two selections that are going to divide people. And I'll be quite upfront. I quite like John Kennedy. I think he has the ability to step up. and to lead the team. I know that it's going to be too hard to sell for Kennedy because it's not going to show ambition, which is going to be tough for people to swallow. It's just going to look like promoting people up from the existing system, and that's going to be hard to sell to the team. I don't really hold much critique of him for that moment that he stepped in the 10 season. I'd absolve him for most of that, but I definitely rate Kennedy. I just don't think it would get. Think it would get the fans going. The other one I'd throw in there, and yep, this will divide. I'd definitely be looking at Muscat. I don't think it would get up, but he's shown himself to. If we're looking to continue on the same path, if we're looking for the same trajectory, there we go. I haven't drunk, I promise. And want to grow on what Ange has already set. Yes, Pete. Muscat has shown consistently now that he can do that. And I think he's definitely someone that has done his apprenticeship and could come in and be his own man and continue what Ange has built on. And I've seen firsthand when he was down here, and I can't comment necessarily on his Yokohama time, but seeing him down here firsthand, we had Ange come in and set up the team and how they want to play and the style and the movement and the mantra. But then when Kevin took over, I don't think he just built upon that. He really improved it, particularly with his signings. So I think he's definitely someone we could look at. It won't, I really don't think it will get up. I think people would see the Rangers connection and maybe just instantly dismiss it. He should be in the conversation, though.
It's not just that, Shane. It's not just the Rangers thing. It's also the fact that I think he's got the same manager as the guy who's just engineered Ange's move away. So that'll,
really?
If my memory is right from what I read, so that'll rattle a few cages as well. So, and it's also the City group where people are saying we don't want, if we sign him, then it just proves that we're in the City group in everything but name. So
I don't know how keen Yokohama would be on us now, snaffling another manager from them that's just signed a contract as well. So you got to keep that in consideration.
Them in a friendly in 4 weeks' time.
Mahesh has got a good comment here. Knudsen could bring some of those Vikings in the Bodo squad. But get down here, bring the guys in. A couple of big centre backs would work. Yeah.
No, you know what? I'm going to jump on board here with what Shane's saying. Muscat is my preferred option at the moment. He played 22 games for them and never played against us. So, we have a pretty good record for rehabilitating ex-Huns. Kenny Miller came to us and did well. Stephen Presley came to us and did well. Going back to the 70s, Alfie Conn came to us and did well. A certain Daniel Fergus McGrain went on to become a legend after Rangers declined to sign him because his name sounded quote-unquote too Fenian, despite the fact he was born and raised a Protestant. So there you go, right?
You're missing one more there, Liam, as well, who grew up in a Rangers family.
Yeah.
And there's certain Dalglish.
No. Yeah. I think that we want to get the best guy for the job. And I don't give a damn who he used to play for. And, Muscat, for me, is the continuity candidate. If you like what we've got going under Ange and you want to keep it going, just to pick up on something there, Shane mentioned what he'd done with Melbourne, right? When Ange won the league with Yokohama in 2019, or 2020, whenever it was, anyway, that was the first time in 15 years Yokohama had won the J-League. Muscat did it again a year after he became manager. So it's not like he's inherited a team that wins a league every year and he's just continued it. He has actively taken a league where every season's a good spread of 7 or 8 teams have got a chance of winning it, and he's managed to win it. So that is a great... Yes, he's continuing what Ange set up, but he's also really put his own stamp on that team as well. I would love to see what he could do. And from a purely selfish point of view, it maintains that connection with the Asian market, and ensures that Jared and our friends at Axom aren't going to give me a P45 anytime soon.
So I'm going to jump off the back of this, a left field one. I've seen this, and from what I've looked into as well, lots of names are going to be mentioned. Our friend over at Seba, over at Argentina CSC on Twitter, has said lots of names are going to be mentioned, but no one like him. Marcelo Gallardo, best manager in the entire South America since 2014, is free.
Oh.
He's available, and there's a few other people saying get him to Paradise. Now, if you get him coming over, that opens up another pipeline in much the same way that Ange opened up the Asian market to Celtic. You get an Argentinian manager coming in that should help Bernabé, could potentially bring in a couple of other South American players to the club. The only thing that I have questions on, and Robert Gibson's just touched on it here, is how's Gallardo's English? It's probably about as good as Muscat or Ange's Japanese is. So the fact that Ange has been coaching the Japanese boys at Celtic through a translator, I think if you got a good translator, you'd be fine. But here's one from left field that I'll be like, let's have a look there. He's a free agent, and with what he's done down there, that's one that I like the sounds of as well.
Look, I think we're in the early stages, and there's a lot of water to go under this bridge, and there could be plenty more left field candidates. I think the only thing we want to see is a similar kind of football. You know, you look at the way Ange has played, and we've got that wonderful, crisp passing, that swashbuckling style of football. I love that word. And we want to see that continue. And so that's going to have to form a basis of who comes in next. That's why personally I was leaning towards a Kennedy or a Muscat, because I know that they can achieve that, or at least I think Kennedy can achieve that. I know Muscat can achieve that. It would be terrible to go down the path of someone who plays a bit more kind of stodgy, sturgeon football just because they're the best manager available. Let's be ambitious.
Yep. At the end of the day, I think we're at that point where there's going to be so much absolute rubbish spouted in the media, on all the blogs, on podcasts. We're just talking about options that we've seen reported on other people's blogs, posts, articles, Facebook groups, Twitter, whatever. So for me, I'm looking at it going, there's going to be so many names spouted, much the same way that we all think back to the Enzo Maresca, Fergal Harkin dream team coming in when as a potential compared to Eddie Howe. We ended up with Ange. We've got all these different rumours now about Muscat coming in, Knudsen. There's guys in Germany that I've heard of that have been released or are free and are looking to move. You've got the Jesse Marsh thing there. There's a whole range of stuff. And at the end of the day, it's gonna be an adventure. It's gonna be a pain in the ass for us Celtic fans until someone's in the door. But I know what we're like as a bunch of Celtic fans. Once we've got our man in the chair, we'll back him. And I know some people will be a little bit cautious because of what they perceive Ange has done and all this sort of stuff. But at the end of the day, let's just wait till we get someone in and we back them like we always do, because the most important thing above all else is the Celtic Football Club. That's why we're all here at the end of the day. We all support that team. We all support, and then the players come and go, managers come and go, but the club and the fans are forever.
Here. And can I indulge just for a quick second? I know we're running a bit long. The other thing I wanted to sort of just mention in that topic is we're in a great position right now. I know Ange leaving isn't ideal, but if you look at the squad, you look at the culture, you look at the way the team's playing, you look at the success we've had, we are in an excellent position, and we should be attracting high caliber options for this role, and we should be looking at high caliber options for this role. We should be ambitious. We are in an excellent spot, and we should be looking at really good candidates here, and we shouldn't we shouldn't think we need to go for anything less, right? We're in an excellent spot right now, and we should use that to our advantage.
Yeah, I would just jump on that and just say, Ange ultimately left Celtic because of his personal ambition, and I don't have a problem with that. Everyone has to be ambitious, and it may well happen with the next manager. But do you know what? If a person isn't personally ambitious, I don't want them anywhere near Celtic. I want a manager who's ambitious. I want a manager who's got visions beyond just gubbing the Huns and winning the cup every season, right? I want a manager who looks at the long-term game for himself and for the team. So I do not have any regrets about what Ange gave us over those last 2 years. And if the next guy comes in and does the same thing in 2 years' time, if he's got another 5 or 6 trophies in the cabinet before he goes, I'll be quite happy with that.
Yep, have to agree with that. So what we'll do is we won't have a final thought this week unless you boys have one in the chamber ready to go. I think we've pretty much said everything we've got to say in terms of the podcast. Everyone, keep your chin up. One thing I do want to say is, Hamish over at 67, hail, hail. I feel bad for you, mate, having your Ange book being released and sent out this time of the year. I did see that online, and I feel bad for you, mate, but at the same time, that's football.
I hope he's got a London-based publisher.
Yeah, all good. All right, everyone, thanks for tuning in. Hail, hail, and we'll speak to you next week.
Hail,
Hail, hail.